Fasten your seatbelts to the upright positions. It's going to be a bumpy ride, folks.
Oh, hey, I got my little neck brace on to fly around the world. No, I've actually never flown anywhere. This is actually kind of a travel pillow thing. It's also for it's also um, for laying down for back stuff or for neck stuff. I never really have support on my neck, and sometimes I kind of sleep on it weird, and I get kinks and stuff in my neck and in my back. So I'm always trying to find a way to kind of rest comfortably. Plus, I buy pillows all the time because I wear pillows down constantly, just because I move around so much when I sleep. But anyway, today we're going to be talking about this is All Good Reviews season 4, and today we're going to be talking about it got buried in the rubble of movies, but I'm trying to find where it is. Today we're going to be talking about there it is, buried in the rubble of crap where it belongs. Today we're going to be talking about a disappointing movie that I watched recently, starring Jack Black and James Marsden, and I teased this one a little while back, so we're gonna go ahead and discuss it today. But anyway, The D Train, starring Jack Black, James Marsden, Catherine Hahn, Mike White, and Jeffrey Tambor. That's the inside cover art, pretty much. So, The D Train. What it's about, and what did I didn't really know that much about this movie. I heard about it a while back, and I just kind of thought, well, it may or may not be okay. I heard about that Jack Black had a new movie out, but I didn't really know a whole lot about it. I was like, the D Train, what the hell's that? But kind of a disappointing Jack Black vehicle. I expected more from this movie, and I expected to be a little bit funnier. It just wasn't very funny, in my opinion. Written and directed by Jared Paul and Andrew Mogul. Produced by David Bernad, Mike White, Jack Black. I have no idea how to pronounce that name. Ben Jones and Barnaby Thompson. Mateo. I don't know. This has that weird font on it where all the words are kind of like stretched together. I don't know what that. I don't know exactly what that font's called, but this is the back of the box. I haven't watched this. I haven't watched the special features on it yet. Okay, this is the Wayne's World. I still don't know what that is. It says from the comedic geniuses behind Nacho Libre and Wayne's World. I don't know who the heck was behind Wayne's World, unless it's just like a producer or something. Because I was like, I don't know any of the other people that did Wayne's World, unless it's probably a producer. But anyway, comes the movie critics are calling outrageous and funny as hell. All his life, Dan Landsman has never been the cool guy. He hopes to change everything by befriending former high school hero Oliver Lawless, James Marsden, and convincing him to show up at their high school reunion. However, Dan's plan hilariously backfires as the unpredictable Oliver proceeds to take over his home career and entire life. Co-starring Catherine Hahn and Jeffrey Tambor, excuse me, Black and Marsden are both extraordinary in the ultimate bromance gone wrong. Excuse me. Throat's kind of hurting at the moment. But anyway, kind of a disappointing movie. Basically, kind of like from the plot, I'll tell you why it was disappointing in a minute. I'm not just gonna say, well, it wasn't any good. I didn't like it, which I didn't like. I didn't care for it that much, but I'm gonna tell you why I didn't care for it in a minute. The DVD has special features, gag reel, and deleted scenes. Man, some gas right now in my stomach, apparently. It's trying to prevent me from doing my review. But anyway, Dan kind of he operates a small business or whatever, computer business or whatever with another guy. They're trying to get some equipment and kind of grow up their company or whatever and stuff like that with Jeffrey Tambor, who is actually kind of funny in the movie. His scenes I actually thought were pretty good. But so he's kind of struggling right now. He's on the Scott, excuse me. He's on the committee for his school, the welcoming committee or whatever it's called, whatever the committee is for the people, the reunion committee. Excuse me, the people that are trying to get the people they're gonna have like a reunion for their school, the high school reunion or whatever. So he watches a tape of Oliver Lawless, which is like this. He's like a celebrity or whatever that in Hollywood, who hasn't really done a whole lot, but he's kind of big. Dan kind of makes him into kind of more than he is in the movie, and he kind of it's like, oh yeah, this guy's awesome or whatever. So there's a few funny scenes kind of with him and kind of accepting Oliver's celebrity, and Oliver doesn't think he's really that big. He's kind of like, why do you have so much, whatever respect for me or whatever? All I did was a few commercials and stuff like that. So he's kind of like, he doesn't think he's as big deal or whatever. And there's kind of a nice bonding scene with them. But the problem I have with the movie is there's a lot of gay humor. There's a lot of and not like making fun of gays, but there's a spoiler alert. There's an angle between they meet up and whatever, and Oliver ends up having sex with Dan, and then Dan can't really within the realm of him getting him to the reunion and everything. Dan can't let it go. He just like, oh yeah, what happened last night or whatever, he holds on to this memory through the whole time he's trying to get him back, and he has kind of an unhealthy obsession with Oliver or whatever. Whenever all of this is going on while they're trying to get him to the reunion, and he's putting money into the he thinks Oliver's going to help him with money or whatever, so he's putting money into his company or whatever that he doesn't really have, and he doesn't tell his boss that or whatever, but it's supposed to be Jack Black's like, well, let's make him think like he's getting the money, so he's actually. But Jeffrey Tambor has some funny scenes as kind of the aloof boss of Jack Black's or whatever, that's always thinks that he's going to get cut in on the deal or whatever, that they're going to make more money, and Jack Black ultimately disappoints him by saying, oh yeah, well there was nothing going on or whatever with that, so I basically swindled your money. There, you shouldn't have done that. So there's some good scenes between Jeffrey Tambor and James Marsden with them trying to get him to go to the reunion, and there's some angles and stuff like that, and Oliver really does kind of take over his household or whatever, and starts giving his son advice on having threesomes and just all this weird sexual stuff. He's like, oh yeah, you should be exploring your body and all this and all that, and of course this doesn't sit well with Jack Black. He's like, what, don't be giving my son sexual advice and stuff like that. So there's kind of a rift between him and whatever, and he ends up kicking him out. But then they eventually go to the reunion, and there's a big kind of like, spoiler alert, there's a big kind of blow up at the reunion. I guess you'd say blow up. It's a big kind of blow up or whatever. But there's the problem is, if the gay thing would have happened and they would have let it go. I'm not homophobic or anything, but the movie just seemed like it relied on that too much, way too much through the entire runtime. Like they would not let it go. Even up till the end, it was like, oh yeah, you were so hot and this and this and this. And, Oliver's already forgotten this. He doesn't. He does not a real emotional kind of guy. So Jack Black kind of takes it emotionally and sensitively, and was like, you know, well, yeah, well, I brought you to, and and another thing was he gets upset because Oliver doesn't seem like he he really respects Dan very much. So that's another thing that they kind of have a problem with whenever he's like, well, you don't even care that I got you to come to the reunion. But it's kind of funny because Oliver kind of like basically takes over the reunion, and he's like, they kind of forgot about Dan or whatever. They're kind of treating him not very good. So, and they don't really, you know, that was supposed to be his major thing, was like, oh yeah, I was the one who got Oliver Lawless to come to the reunion, and everybody's supposed to be, you know, that was he thought he was kind of be famous for that, and nobody really cares, you know. I mean, they're kind of glad that he came, but I don't know. He was kind of hinging his popularity on that, so that wasn't a good thing. So his image was kind of blown up by this guy or whatever. I don't know. I like the movie okay. I mean, there, like I said, there were some okay scenes, but really the homosexual stuff through the whole movie, just bringing it up like, oh yeah, well, remember when we had sex last night? And then they go into the next scene, and it's like, oh yeah, I do remember when we had sex last night. Do you remember that? Yeah, I did. And it's like I'm like, do we have to bring it up every 5 seconds that the characters, you know, had sex in the movie, and that he was thankful that he got him to go to the reunion? I mean, they beat it down and down and down and down. The writers and directors of the movie just kind of, I don't know. I don't know if they just ran out of ideas, or or what happened, like jokes or whatever. Because I can't remember any like particular. You know, some movies you remember kind of jokes and stuff that and scenes that were kind of funny. I don't remember a particular scene that was that funny, other than a couple scenes with Jeffrey Tambor he's trying to take like he's in with Jack Black, but he doesn't really know anything about computers or anything, and there's kind of like a scene where he gets upset about the computers, and he's like, well, fuck, oh, sorry guys, like they're doing like a training class or whatever, and he's like, oh yeah, are we gonna get the money from Lawless or whatever to you know, give us money to support our business or whatever, and he kind of gets upset about that, and he goes back in there, and he's always trying to like maintain his cool, even though you can tell he's kind of getting stressed out sometimes. But there was kind of a couple funny scenes between him and Jack Black that were kind of good, and a couple, you know, interactions and stuff that I kind of liked. Overall, though, I don't know. I don't think I wouldn't really recommend it unless you're just a really hardcore Jack Black fan. You might want to check it out. Plus, Mike White's character was kind of funny in it, but way too much homosexual stuff. If that stuff doesn't bother you, I think you'd like it. I just kind of wish. Also, another thing, I wish it was a little funnier. Seemed like it was kind of trying to play off like a dark humor kind of thing that didn't really pull off. Like they were trying to make this weird, you know, obsession thing with Oliver, with Dan kind of idolizing Oliver. That didn't really come off very well. It was kind of like, it seemed kind of like it was kind of forced. Like they didn't really know how to make the contrast between the comedy and the dark stuff very well. And it kind of came across in some of the scenes where Jack Black was you know, obviously trying to be funny and make the scene, you know, kind of pull some humor out of the scene, but it just felt like he was screaming at the people. Like there was one scene where he was screaming at people from the reunion, and he's like, oh yeah, well, he's not the only fucking one in the thing, and I think it was supposed to be funny. They were like, he was supposed to like play it as funny, but at this point people didn't really care about Jack Black's character. They just wanted to get Oliver to the reunion. That was their main thing. And then so he kind of felt kind of used. He was like, well, this is the only reason you guys really like me, is because you want me to get him to the reunion. But it was okay. I'd give it like a, if I was on my final verdict, I think I would probably give it maybe a one-time watch. Like I said, there's the stuff right again. If you're a Jack Black fan, you might like it. You might pull a little bit more out of it than I am. And I'm a Jack Black fan too. But for me, this movie was kind of a miss. It just seemed like it wasn't funny. It wasn't as funny as it could have been, and the gay humor and stuff kind of dragged it down. Overall, I think they were trying to going for, like I said, they were kind of going for something that the director and writer couldn't really pull off. The actors are good in it, but when they have the script that's kind of like not working in their favor, it kind of goes against them. But anyway, this is Matt Allgood. Thank you for joining me. This is Allgood Reviews. Today's review was from The D Train from pretty recently. It's a fairly recent movie. I think it's 2015. It's from last year. So thank you guys for watching. More episodes coming up soon. Make sure to subscribe to my channel on YouTube and check out more videos as they post, and I'll let you know. I'll let you know whenever they're gonna post. Thank you guys for watching. Take care, and as always, God bless. You will see me soon.